Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabai.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Victoria Tundu, MKO Aviola.
Good morning, Mr.
Yes,
Efeni.
that is khaki color or brown.
Well done.
Now let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story: UN report exposes secret program for repentant terrorists. Intelligence agencies probe authenticity of recent surrender of 1,200 insurgents. How they are given houses, paid monthly stipend. Yes, a United Nations publication has detailed a secret government program tagged Sulu, designed to pull commanders of terrorist groups, including Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West Africa, ISWAP, out of the forest, rehabilitate them, and provide them a means of livelihood. Ruben, you had restricted this into jollof rice, but it is more than jollof rice, as you can see. A whole package for these terrorists who have maimed, who have killed, destroyed, and of course rendered many homeless, and they are now languishing in IDP camps. Yet they are giving houses, according to this report, and giving stipends. I don't know how much stipends the IDPs are giving. But this in itself, we've always said that the idea of repentant or rehabilitation of terrorists has always been a political decision, not a military decision. But at this time, I think I will say it is sad that this is ongoing while Nigerians are still suffering. Many are still being killed by these terrorists. How come we could not just vanquish these terrorists with our military might, but the government of the day has decided on rehabilitating them? One of Rufai used to say, I hope we will not see a repentant bandit running for office and people are being asked to vote for them. That would be a very sad day. But going at this rate of rehabilitation, paying stipends, it means a terrorist who have killed, maimed, may just be in a position to aspire to any level in the near and distant future. Let me just look at other stories before I come over to you. The Guardian newspaper, Autumn, Ohaneze, Falana kick over unknown grazing routes. Benue governor threatens legal action against Buhari ranching. Federal government should allocate 6.25 billion to other states. Falana, yes, because that is the amount of money the federal government has given to Katsina State, the president's home state, for ranching. So, in the spirit of equity, other states should get similar amount. Femi Falana is arguing. I don't know whether anybody in government can fault that argument. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, also grazing route, autumn blows hot. Plans to sue Buhari group drags president. Others to court over failure to investigate missing 106 billion naira in 149 ministries, departments, and agencies. The Punch newspaper, government 4.8 billion naira pledge. Federal government can't be trusted, says National Association of Resident Doctors. We negotiated with NMA, minister insists. We can't go back to our members with empty promises. Pay first, NAD. We didn't hold talks with you. Your matter is in court. Ngige tells doctors. Now, the issue of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors still being on strike, and many hospitals are feeling the pinch. Patients, of course, are also feeling the pinch very badly. Will the government do the needful? But if we look at the story in the front page of some other newspapers, quickly, the Daily Champion newspaper, bandits massacre 21, injures cause in Kaduna fresh attacks. 15 more abducted students of Bethel Baptist High School freed. And that is the lead story, the front page of the Leadership. 7 weeks after 65 Bethel Baptist students still in captivity as 15 regained freedom. We rejoice with the parents of the 15, but efforts need to be hastened to bring back the remaining 65. But we know money must have changed hands for these students to regain their freedom because the government has not done much to help the people. So the Baptist Convention members and their sympathizers are raising funds to get these pupils out of the kidnappers' den. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, strike while we refuse to sign MOU doctors. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, the lead story there, doctors in mass exodus amidst NAT strike. Less than 40,000 doctors serving 200 million Nigerians. My facility stripped of personnel. CMD cries out. Federal government should develop emergency intervention. The Nigerian Medical Association. Act fast. Experts urge government others. Now, business stories quickly. The Business Day newspaper. Nigeria wants businesses registered in hours. Yet, it takes months. So much for ease of doing business. New Telegraph newspaper. Concern mounts over rising POS fraud, point of sales fraud, as Yahoo boys now operate as agents. Make use of ATMs, experts. Now the National Economy newspaper, how federal government, private sector partnership revive local fertilizer blending plants as investments in local production since 2016 hit $8 billion. The News Direct newspaper, ease of doing business, yes. States revenue agencies engage thugs to multiply levies collection as APBN members protest multiple taxes in Delta. Government must exercise caution. Now, the foreign newspapers, quickly. The Times of UK, mass airlift to evacuate 6,000 from Kabul chaos. Britain extends deadline to R80 Mercy flight. Growing fears of ISIS suicide attacks at airport. While the Guardian newspaper of UK, number 10, plea to Biden after Taliban show of strength. Prime Minister will voice anxiety amid fears over the pace of evacuation. Of course, Boris Johnson will personally lobby Joe Biden at the G7 summit to extend the evacuation beyond end of August as the situation is still dire at the airport. It is feared that thousands of people with British connection could miss the chance to escape if they stick to that guideline. Now, the New York Times also reporting from Kabul, chaos at airport as Taliban work on creating state. Former Afghan president and Russians take on mediator roles. Ruben Rufai and Tundu.
I think it's a huge. Yeah, I think it's a huge assumption to say that Boris Johnson will lobby Joe Biden to extend U.S. departure. Taliban does have a say in the matter now, don't they? And how is it in their interest to extend the occupation as they see it? So I'm not sure that's really going to fly. I think this has just been an absolute disaster, and whatever measures have been taken to sort of stem the hemorrhaging that's going on, literally and figuratively, because people are dying and people are scared, they're anxious. U.S. goodwill is going down the tubes as we speak. Next time they need to forge alliances, which they will need to, because the U.S. is not an island, as much as they like to believe they are with their isolationist tendencies. Everybody's going to think twice in terms of whether or not they can be trusted. So it's an absolute disaster. And now to go back to what you said, that great point that you raised about the IDPs and how they are not being given packages by anybody. Nobody's thinking about them. Nobody's rehabilitating them. I have to stress yet again, the fate of the girls who are kidnapped that return as women, often with children. Nobody cares about how they're stigmatized, them and their children. They're shunned by their societies, by their communities, the same way as these repentant Boko Haram figures are shunned. But whereas help, red carpets have been rolled out for them, nothing has been done to these people who are completely innocent victims. So that point has to be stressed. And the other thing that you mentioned, the other you mentioned the grazing routes. It's just actually comical in 2021. This morning, we've talked about grazing routes. We talked about conditional cash transfers. What's the next anachronism that this government is going to, force on us in 2021? Is this some kind of a joke?
Probably a water bill.
Right?
Well, the chaos in Afghanistan continues. It's been a weekend of tension even between the United Kingdom and the United States. On Saturday, 7 persons died in a crash near Kabul airport. As at the last count, 20 persons have died, as a result of trying to look for safe havens away from the Taliban. So what we're facing in Afghanistan is a grave humanitarian crisis. And as I was saying last week, the world, whatever may be the politics, the geopolitics, cannot afford to abandon the suffering people of Afghanistan, those women carrying their babies and handing them over to British servicemen. And the key point that I think the UK Prime Minister has made, in my view, is his plea that mercy flights, the mercy flights by the United States that are supposed to end within the next 2 days, should be extended in order to save the people, the suffering people of Afghanistan. The Prime Minister Johnson has called an online meeting of the G7. He's also been talking to France and also to Russia to have a meeting of the Big Five, the permanent members of the UN Security Council. We hope that, the Taliban in Afghanistan will be held down to the rules of the international community. Now, second, the other issue I wanted to point out is the story that you referred to on the front page of Daily Trust, which talks about the fact that doctors
are living in droves.
You know that once upon a time in Nigeria, we were told that any doctor that wanted to leave should leave. But we can see, with the kind of public health crisis that we have, that we can't continue to treat doctors or any professional in this manner. And we are hoping that the resident doctors, who constitute about a quarter, of the population of doctors in Nigeria, will be constructively engaged by government, rather than government telling them tomorrow, let's go to hell. One more story of interest, quickly. Front page of New Telegraph. Concern mounts over rising POS fraud.
Yes.
Well, that's very frightening. If Yahoo boys have now taken over the POS, I know somebody, who is not too far away from us, who says I'm a dinosaur, that I've refused to join the modern trend. And I always tell her, look, I don't trust some of these things. And this is, a good illustration of how anything good...
For you to remain a dinosaur?
Anything good in Nigeria, people will mess it up. Now people will be afraid to go to ATM machines, ATMs. They will be afraid to use POS because fraudsters have also taken over that zone.
No, the POS they're talking here is the one being run by private individuals. And so if you avoid that...
Well, but it's all part of that financial inclusion.
You go to your bank's POS and ATM, and you get your money.
No, even the POS you use in the stores have been compromised. And I think the CBN and other relevant agencies should be vigilant so that some of us who are dinosaurs in terms of financial transactions can see something good to also embrace.
Dr. Abati, may I keep your money for you then?
Rufai, just before you come in,
I'm safe.
Rufai, just before you come, I refer you to the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Yes, OBJ pays homage to whom? Ogiame Atuwashe III, the Olúọ̀fọ̀rẹ́, crowned on Saturday with a golden crown. Better than the one that was missing.
Okay.
Leobato Jono, as the Olu himself put it, when the king's house gets burnt, it's a time to get a better one.
Yeah.
And a better crown is fittingly sitting on the head of Ogiame Atuashe III. Ogiame Shuo.
Okay.
We love to see it.
I mean, if I can just put in a quick word about Afghanistan. News flash, Afghan people, sorry to say this, but you're on your own.
Oh, yeah.
The world doesn't care about you. America, China, Russia, even the Taliban doesn't care about you. And I think we should start learning. Most importantly, those that have started, building homes for bandits in this country, those that have put bandits on government payroll, please remember, this was the way Taliban started. All right? We need to go.
Anyway, the rule of the international order is that you do not abandon people in distress. And the people of Afghanistan are members of the global human community. They deserve our support.